Hey, after watching this video, you'll be able to respond to a player's key presses, explain a bit more about what the start and update methods do, and navigate the Google and Unity docs with a bit more confidence. So let's dive in and take a look at it. So here we have our console game, which currently does nothing but log 4 things to the console. So let's expand upon it into numberwizard.cs script. Cool, so let's just go to the bottom of our start function. We're doing everything in the start function for now. We need the next thing we need the computer to do, once it's told you you're allowed to guess and think of a number between 1 and 1,000 rather, is to make its first guess. So let's go ahead with that. Print, is the number higher or lower than 500? Okay. Micro challenge for you. Print another statement that says up arrow for higher, down for lower, return for equals. Okay, go ahead and do that now. It's not very exciting, it's rather simple. Up arrow for higher, down for lower, return for equal. Fantastic. This is good practice at getting your brackets and your quotes right. Talking about getting your brackets and your quotes right, look at my first statement here. I've noticed that the end bracket and the quote are in orange rather than black. And that means the computer is still interpreting that as a string. And the reason it is because I haven't told it to stop interpreting it with a string, i.e. I missed my close quote. Very naughty. Okay, so next thing we need to do is get some input. So do you want to see the effect of that? Yeah, let's see the effect of what we've done. It's not exciting, but it's something. Here you go. Is it higher or lower than 500? And then tell them what they need to do. This is called affordance. Up arrow for higher, down for lower, return for equal. Okay, you can't quite read it, but if you were playing this for real, not that you would, it would be in a slightly wider console. All right, I'll tell you what we can do. We can actually fix that by just saying up equals higher, down equals lower, return equals equal, just for fun. There you go, how's that? All right, so let's go ahead and use the first new function you're going to learn, which is input. And that's how you're going to get input from the user. Now, how are you going to find out about this thing, or how would you know it was input in the first place? Let's answer the second question first. How would you know it's input in the first place? Well, what I would do is I just get keyboard input Unity into Google. So let me bring my Google window across, and let's get keyboard input Unity. Okay, here we go. There you go, and it wouldn't be long looking down that before you'd get the trail of this input thing. All right, in fact, we could go straight here to scripting API, input.getKeyDown. That would be one way of doing it. Another would be to know that it's the command input and to go straight to the docs for that. Now, warning, super handy keyboard shortcut coming up, although you may need to adjust your key bindings in monodevelop preferences here. All right, or maybe slightly differently on the PC. But here's a really useful key binding. When you're on a command you want to know more about, hold down the command key and push apostrophe, and it will search the Unity docs for that command. It'll search the scripting API docs. There's two sets of Unity docs. The manual, which is for basically anything you want to know the answer to when you're in the Unity editor, and the scripting API, which is for questions about scripting. All right, so this input thing, here it is. Now, it's going to tell you lots of stuff about input, and one of the things it's going to tell you is that you can get key down. I'm just going to jump down to it. Get key down, and that's the one we're going to use, okay? Input.getKeyDown. Now, if you look down in their example, you see that inside the update function, not the start function, they say this. So why don't we just copy their code for the moment? If that, do that. We're actually going to need to modify their code a little bit because they very naughtily missed some squiggly brackets. But that's okay, we can fix that up. So over in here in Unity, not inside the start function, but inside the update function. Why inside the update function? Well, this is your first intro to start and update. Start only happens once at the beginning of the script, the beginning of the program, the beginning of the game. If you weren't holding that key down at the very beginning, at the instance it checks, then it would miss it. So it needs to be an update, which is called every frame. How many frames? Well, it depends how many frames per second the game's running at that moment, and it varies. It could be none, or 1, or 50, or 100, 1,000. So, but anyway, every single time it gets a chance, every frame it will check. So here's our statement. What I don't like about their statement is it doesn't have the right curly bracket structure for my slightly obsessive nature. So I'm going to put the right curly brackets in. And now we need to modify this so that it works not for the space key, but for pushing the up and the down arrow is what we're going to use. So take a look in the docs and see if you can work out how to modify this so that it works for up and down arrow, and change this line here for print up arrow pressed. Okay, so don't get confused with this down here and the up. This is the key going down. Now you're pushing your key into your keyboard, and this is the up arrow that you're pushing down. So what I need you to do is change this bit inside the brackets so that it responds to an up arrow press and logs it out to the console. Try that as a challenge now, and pause the video and come back when you're done. Hey, welcome back. So the thing that you need is this keycode.up arrow like this. So what the hell is keycode.up arrow? Well, what you need to know is that the result of what comes out of keycode.up arrow is the up arrow keycode. Okay, you can find that in the docs. I found it by looking, I can't remember exactly where I did find it. Here you go. I went to Input Manager, I think. I can't remember where I did go. Where did I go? 1 second. I shall find it. It's in here somewhere. So I'll tell you what, I would do a Google search for Unity keycode or Unity up arrow key or something like that. And then you'll quite quickly find, here you go, keycode.up arrow in somebody's example code, and it will come up several times, you'll find. Okay, so that's how I discovered what it was, just by a bit of hunting and sniffing. You haven't seen an if statement yet. Don't worry about it too much. What you need to know is that what is happening inside the if statement will only happen if this condition is met. We'll talk about it at another time. All right, I have a challenge for you then. What we want you to do is I want you to do exactly the same for the down arrow. All right, so let's make another statement almost identical to this one that works for the down arrow and logs out to the console down arrow pressed. Please pause the video, go ahead and do that little challenge right now. Okay, welcome back. So this is a pretty simple challenge. It's just a cut and paste job. So copy that initial code and then just paste down here, and you're going to change up arrow for, you guessed it, down arrow, and you're going to change this to down. Fantastic. That is it. Let's just test all this and we are done. So back into Unity after having saved our script. Check here and check up here that you've saved, or just hit Command S is what I tend to do. Dive into Unity, play it. It's giving you the instructions. As long as I've clicked in the game window, by the way, you have to have clicked in the game window. Up arrow says up arrow pressed, down arrow says down arrow pressed. Great, fantastic. Now you might want to turn collapsing on your console. This way it just logs every line separately. The other little thing you've got here is the collapse button in the console. Underneath you have a button that says collapse, and now every time I go up and down, provided I'm clicked in the game window, if I haven't selected the game window it won't listen to the keys, then you see the number against the up arrow pressed and down arrow pressed increments to say I've just logged another line to the console that's identical to something I've logged before. So I'm just going to collapse it into a single line here. Either way, they both work. Congratulations, see you soon.